Thank you, sir. Just one comment I would ask for you, for us budding scholars. What do you think, before, like as we end, what do you think should be the goal of the students, especially those who are pursuing Indian philosophy, even in India? Like I am a student who is in India. We often we do admire the West, and that's a fact that we do admire the West. So what do you think should be the focus of our students of Indian philosophy and Indian shastras for the future of academia, so that we can contribute more and we can have a more promising contribution to the academia? And that's my final question, and with that I would end,
I appreciate the suggestion that you are anyway going to stop at one point, because I was also going to ask. But one thing is beautiful. I've been teaching in the West for almost 25 years, and what I find is many of my Western students do not know as many languages as students in India. Like you are speaking in English, we are having this conversation in English language, as if it is our own language, right? And we are not going to find that type of conversation so easily in the West, in Western academia. You have an advantage, be it colonial, be it modern, be it global. That's not my problem. My problem is you have this advantage on language. Have an advantage the same way on Western philosophy. Read them faithfully. Faithfully doesn't mean that you just have some incenses and burn a lamp, Read those books with the same rigor as you read anything else. But on the hint side, what is happening is, as soon as people, like students go to philosophy departments in India, they immediately start thinking themselves as British. Come on, guys, I mean, you have been independent for the last 75 years. Can you just think for 1 minute that you are an independent subject? And what constitutes that independent subject within you? Have you ever thought about what makes you an independent subject? So for that you need to think through history, because subject is historical product. And you do not want to think through history, because then it is so much enmeshed in contemporary politics that talking, even invoking history, immediately evokes some particular sentiments within you. That's your problem. That's not my problem. I would say read some Sanskrit. I would say read some classical Hindu philosophy and Buddhist philosophy and Jain philosophy, and then say, I'm an Indian philosopher. What makes you an Indian philosopher? Because you are an Indian and you are also a philosopher. No, I don't buy that. What is it in you that is alive in the same tradition of free thinking that has lasted for 3,000 years in this soil? Should not that reflect somewhere in some corners for you to think as a philosopher while being Indian? That to me is not a political question. That to me is a very valid philosophical question. And that is my last suggestion, that give some time to read these classical shastras. And then you don't have to believe in any of that. None of the classical philosophers believed dogmatically to their earlier philosophers. If you were to read it, you will know. Even the disciples of Shankaracharya did not blind-heartedly believe and adopted Shankara's teachings. They were constantly modifying. They were constantly thinking. This Abhinavagupta's disciples did not blindly accept everything Abhinavagupta said. They were constantly redefining. You have that freedom as a philosopher. But you can't just be a philosopher without roots and without a plant, just up a tree and borrowing some saps from this tree and some pollens from another tree. So the philosophy is a systemic thinking, and that systemic thinking has its own roots. And as long as you are discrediting those roots, you are not willing to actually evolve in this big historical context to ground philosophy within you. You are simply adopting some philosophical questions that are not even grounded in your own cultural experience. And you are transplanting some of those philosophical experiences that even do not belong to you. So therefore, do not universalize every single philosophical question in every time, because many of the philosophical questions have their historical roots and are contextual for only one time and for only one place in a particular context. You see? It's like political questions. So some are eternal questions, but not every question that comes within the head of philosopher is a permanent question. So we have to liberate ourselves from all these dogmatic modes of thinking.